Okay. Hopefully, it won't crash now. Hopefully, just hopefully, of course. Okay, so I gotta go to the bathroom. Be right back.
Hello Dark Souls fans, I'm back with yet another Dark Souls 3 run, but this time is my third run with the Deprived class. I will be showing you how I did my presets and accidentally discovered that I made Prince Zuko from Avatar, and I will be showing you my run throughout this and how I managed to beat the game. And what I did, just choosing the weapons that a Deprived class should choose. So like bats, pitchforks, stuff like that. Once again, what I'm doing here is not something that you especially need to follow. If you want, you can make up your own build. It's just what I think is best for this class especially. So, starting on with Gundyr, it was quite frustrating because I had to do him in 2 tries, but eventually I got him down with a few parries, even though the bat wasn't really helpful and the lack of armor made it a bit harder. Though I have to say, as hard as it was in early game because of the lack of armor, I managed to handle my souls very well so that the level ups did come in handy. And as for the armor, I managed to find scraps along the way and eventually just buff myself pretty easily with a pyromancy, and I'll show you in the next few clips.
Come on, just kill me already. Alright, I'll check it in a bit. Damn, this armor is really nice, like the shackle. Do you like me? I'm a homeless guy. I look like Zuko from Avatar! No! No! I look like Zuko! Now I realize, no! No!
As always, Vort was an absolute sweetheart and managed to go down in a single try. I was still using my bat here, but I imbued it with some electric pine resin and got him down in about 3 minutes. It took me a while, yes. And moving on to the next boss fight, I managed to get the 4-pronged plow, which was my next weapon, and to be honest, it was kinda bad. But I had no other option since I was in the Deprived class and I wanted to switch from the bat. It ended up helping me a bit because I managed to get out of the Curse Rotted Treewood's grab attack. I don't know how, don't ask me. It was a glitch, I guess. So moving on to the Crystal Sage, I already had my next weapon, but I decided to use the 4-pronged plow a bit longer. Ah yes, the fun church club. This fight was a pain, to be honest, with the 4-pronged. Yeah, I'ma just leave this weapon here, literally. I switched over to the Great Club, which I imbued it earlier with a heavy gem going on to full strength, and to be honest, this weapon was amazing. I managed to hang on with it until the end of the stream, and to be honest, even though it was an A scaling strength at level 10, I didn't notice the difference between S scaling and A scaling because the Great Club was such an overpowering weapon and the stagger that it did was gigantic. And now you might say, oh, you only go into strength builds, or why didn't you get any armor from the shop? Well, let me tell you. First of all, I'm only going strength builds on the builds that I can go with strength. For example, the warrior, the knight, the pyromancer was an exception because I needed more dexterity than strength. This run was a deprived class. I thought it was significantly better to go on a full strength build, especially because my stats were laid out at 10. It was much better for me to convert into a strength build rather than an intelligence build and stuff like that. And don't worry, I have the sorcerer build and the cleric build as well. They're annoying, but you'll see I have different builds going on with these runs. Now that you want to jump on my actions, I won't tell you why I didn't buy any armor. Well, let me tell you, the armor that you get from the shops are temporary. Like, I'd rather have 2 or 3 runs going into a boss than waste some of my souls that I could use for level ups and stuff like that. Especially later on in the game, I will find some armor that I will especially use because it's on the heavier side and I do not mind a bit of fat rolling.
The controller said no. Oh. Yes?
Okay, so it's about time I tell you what my build was. First of all, after Wolnir, I decided to go to Old Demon King to get the Shield of Wands, because it was really helpful later on by managing the souls, as well as having the Great Club in hand, which carried me the whole run. Either way, for the armor, I decided to go with a mix of armors. For the chestplate, I used Soler's chestplate, which you can find at Pickle P. And for the final set of armor, I decided to go with the Silver Winged Knight's armor. Moving on to the pyromancies, I actually wanted to tell you that I used only one pyromancy, which was the Profused Sweat. It's an incredible pyromancy that raises all of your stats, and it has a low cost of 6 faith and 6 intelligence. And having 10 intelligence and 10 faith, it boosted the pyromancy, which made it way more easy for bosses like Old Demon King, Pontiff, and so on and so on. So after Pontiff, I decided to go straight to Aldrich. I didn't really collect things. It took me 4 or 5 tries, I believe, but eventually I got her down. It only took me about 5 or 6 tries because I wasn't used to the weapon to attack this slowly, and I only managed to attack it once or twice before teleporting away, so that's one of the most annoying fights in this run. After Aldrich, of course, comes Yorm the Giant, and after defeating him, I instantly started the boss fight with the Dancer and got her down, which was a bit annoying because I had no heals. Ah yes, now this very fun and not frustrating at all boss fight, because he didn't push me twice off the ledge, but then I went to upgrade my gear to level 9, I believe, or level 8. And got some more armor, and then I beat him to an absolute pulp. But enjoy this edit as much as I did.
You need that. You do not.
Yeah, well, that was fun.
Wow, 1 HP. I thought he was still alive. But
Anywho, now come the Twin Princes. Twin Prince? I just beat them, that's the whole point. I don't know, this fight wasn't as annoying as the Pyromancer run, nor the Knight run, but to be honest, it was quite an enjoyable fight, because I did a massive amount of damage, and I took a massive amount of damage, but I managed to understand their cycle of attacks quite well this run, and it wasn't as troublesome as I thought it was gonna be.
You know better than this. Bye bye. Yeah. Let me access my inventory.
And then in comes the Soul of Cinder, which was to my surprise, a bit more toughened than I expected, realizing that my weapon was on A scale strength and I almost had like 40. But like every time in these runs, he goes down in 1 or 2 tries. So that was pretty nice.
Okay. That's good damage. I wish that if we're playing phone. Good. Good I knocked it out of the game. Oh, never mind, he did a plin plin plin. Don't touch me with the plim plim plon. Oh, I almost got caught in that. Bye bye, Soul of Cinder. Summon your bonfire. Where was it?
So that was it for the main game with only the main bosses and Old Demon King, of course. And it took me 5 hours, 51 minutes and 13 seconds, which I think is the best one yet. And I think it will stay in the top for now. But that's it for now. Bye bye! Okay, so as you can see, I'm already in the DLC, and that is because I was so overwhelmed at that moment. I was so tired that I didn't realize that I have the optional bosses to fight. So I went into the DLC, I fought with the Wolf and the Grave Tender, and it was surprisingly easy. I mean, I expected it since I had a great club, literally. But that was surprisingly easy, and it took me about 2 minutes. Then I went back to fight Ocelot, which was a tad bit annoying since he was tankier than I expected, and his attacks were absolutely horrid. Like, they caught me in every corner. But eventually he goes down as well. And then we go to the next one, Champion Gandir. Now this fight wasn't really as bad as I expected it to be, because I had a lot of strength, I had a lot of damage output, but I also didn't have any good armor right about then, I believe. Or I couldn't equip the good armor that I actually wanted. As you can see, it was a mix between many things. But eventually he goes down, so I can't complain much about it because it took me 1 try. So now we take out the Ancient Wyvern. I sped it up just not to bore you. I'm guessing you've already seen the boss fight before in my other runs, or perhaps in your run. And then we go to the Nameless King, which only surprisingly took me 1 try. 1? Incredible. I wouldn't have guessed it. Though he was a tad bit annoying, I managed to get him in 1 try with, I think, minus 3 or 4 estasis from the first phase. But I can't complain anymore, can I? In my opinion, I think I handled the HP and the strength scalings pretty well. I went with my vigor to 40 and my strength to 43 or 34, which surprisingly scaled quite well. I didn't really notice the hard cap on the 40. I believe it's on 40, but yeah. And then, I don't know what comes next. I think Frida, which I did without Gale, because I wanted to try it without Gale. And I have to speed this up, because it was long. It took me 7 or 8 minutes. It's incredible. And eventually she goes down. But I was actually quite thankful that I could have hit the both of them, Father Ariandel and Sister Frida, at the same time. But in her last phase, the 3rd phase, it was pure chaos. I only kept my distance, hit her once or twice, then ran again. Because I ain't dealing with all of that, trust me. And whilst I show you this god-awful fight, I'll tell you what rings I used. Well, let's start with the Chlorophyll ring. I started with the Chlorophyll ring because it was one of the rings that kept me alive all this time. The stamina regen was absolutely incredible. And I used the Grass Crest shield as well early on, but when I got the Shield of Want, I just switched to the Shield of Want because I wanted more soul. As for the second ring, I believe I went with Havel's ring, which I got from the Stray Demon Soul. For the third ring, it was constantly switched. I got resistance to frostbite damage for Sister Frida, but I kept the ring of favor and protection mostly. And as for the fourth ring, I went with the ring of steel protection and then switched all of them to silver serpent ring +3, ring of steel protection +3, Havel's ring +3, and Chlorophyll ring +3, which are... And the Midir fight was awesome. Like, it took me one try, but I managed to stagger him at like quarter of HP, and I managed to kill him in one try, and it didn't take me more than 5 minutes. This took me about 8 minutes, and having a heavy weapon that isn't like Yorm's machete takes you a lot of time. So I finished it. I forgot to get all the main bosses plus the optional bosses, I think. I'm gonna have to search that one. Let me just type in here. No, I got it. Look, it's here. All the base game plus optional bosses took 6 hours, 31 minutes and 55 seconds. And for the whole game and the DLC bosses, it took me 7 hours, 51 minutes, 14 seconds. And that is when I let the girl in Ariandel's chapel take the dark soul and paint. So now we come to an end. I have to rate this and say what I thought was best and what I thought is worse. Well, let me tell you. I thought that it was a very stable class, that you had a lot of paths going on, but I went with a strength build since it was the most sustainable damage that I could do. But I have to say, early on you lack resistance, you lack damage, and you lack everything, literally. But you do have equal stats, which lets you improve in whatever path you want. You might think, oh, but I want to go only on strength, I might go warrior. Well, I believe that going deprived is much better, because it lets you level up faster, it lets you put points in whatever you want, and you won't lack in other branches. So technically, I think deprived is one of the best classes I've played with to finish a run in one entire stream. And it took me a while, I can't say, but I think I could have finished it a bit earlier, because I took my time collecting souls and defeating enemies to level up a bit more. I was way too scared to mess up and lose my souls, but that proved to be quite useful because it let me skip the whole entire second DLC and just finish the game a bit faster. So if I were to rate it, I don't think it's the best one, but I will probably rate it a bit like 9.3 to 9.5. I think I will leave it at 9.5 because I can't say anything badly about it. It lets you explore as much as you want about this class, but it lacks on items and it doesn't really help you early on at all. And also I married Henri. Good luck seeing that.
Bye bye. I'm gonna piss.